This is not a matter of simply violating university rules. This is a movement, an anti-war movement.
Agents from President Donald Trump's administration have arrested Palestinian graduate student Mahmoud Khalil, who played a prominent role in last year's pro-Palestinian protests at New York's Columbia University. That's according to a statement released by the Student Workers Labor Union, which added that Khalil was arrested by U.S. Department of Homeland Security agents at his university residence on Saturday. Khalil has been one of the lead negotiators with school administrators on behalf of the pro-Palestinian student protesters. His detention appears to be one of the first efforts by Trump to fulfill his promise to seek the deportation of some foreign students involved in the pro-Palestinian protest movement against Israel's war in Gaza that swept college campuses last spring. A spokesperson for Columbia said the school was barred by law from sharing information about individual students. Spokespeople for Trump, DHS, and the Department of State did not respond to questions. It was not immediately clear on what grounds DHS agents arrested Khalil. Khalil's arrest comes on the heels of the Trump administration canceling government contracts and grants awarded to Columbia University worth about $400 million. The government said the cuts in the student deportation efforts are because of anti-Semitic harassment at and near Columbia's Manhattan campus. In response, Columbia's interim president said the school was committed to combating anti-Semitism and was working with the federal government to address their legitimate concerns.
Highly unusual because Mr. Khalil is a green card holder. Green card holders have rights. They just cannot be picked up in the way he has been and detained incognito.
As of now, there are no assurances from the university that no NYPD or any other law enforcement, including the National Guard, will be brought into the university.
They're justifying it based on an executive order that Trump issued that would authorize the DHS to use the Immigration Act to go after students who've protested in the context of the Gaza conflict. But an executive order cannot change the law. We do have a statute, and it bears repeating, where the government has a heavy burden to establish through clear and convincing evidence that the green card holder is deportable under one of the grounds of deportation in the Immigration and Nationality Act.
Since taking office, my administration has launched the most sweeping border and immigration crackdown in American history.
The person should have been convicted of a crime, a deportable offense. I don't believe Mr. Khalil has been convicted of such an offense, from what I know. You could also initiate deportation proceedings if a green card holder has provided material support to a terrorist organization, which is what the Trump administration has been alleging.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! You are a liar!
Let's assume that he has been solely involved in campus protests for Palestinian rights. That in itself should not constitute material support to terrorism. The government has a very high burden of proof. they have to demonstrate through clear and convincing evidence that the person they wish to remove is deportable from the United States. That is a very high burden.
Once again, our movement here, when they tried to clear it last week, we prevailed. If they want to once again bring NYPD or any law enforcement, we will prevail.
If he's not been convicted of a crime and he's not been abroad so that they can then establish that he abandoned permanent residence, he's been here in the United States, I don't see how they can deport a green card holder. A green card holder does have solid rights established in the Immigration and Nationality Act and also buttressed by Supreme Court precedents. The writ of habeas corpus allows a person who has been unlawfully detained to file a writ in federal court to challenge the detention and to have the government answer and provide a legal basis for the detention. That's what's been done on Sunday, from what I know. If the notice to appear is issued, if they've initiated deportation proceedings against Mr. Khalil, then they can detain him, but Mr. Khalil can ask an immigration judge to conduct a bond hearing so that he can be released. And he should be released in a bond proceeding because he's not a threat to the community. He's not a flight risk from what we know. And if he's able to post bond, he should be released while the proceedings are instituted against him to deport him.
Release Mahmoud Khalil now! 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 Colombia, we see you! Colombia, we see you! You imprisoned students too! You imprisoned students too! Colombia, we see you! Colombia, we see you! You imprisoned forever! New York City, you will see. Palestine will be free. Hands up our students now. Release Mahmoud Khalil now. Refugees will return. And up with liberation.
It starts like this, okay? This is how things start. And if you don't stand up right away and fight back, then, you know, I mean, it can just, you know, like that there's that old saying, first they came for the, you know, for the unionists, and I didn't speak up, you know, it's just like that. So we have to speak up. We have to be strong, and we have to fight back. We're protesting basically the kidnapping and disappearing of someone who was protesting a genocide, someone who had a green card, someone who has never done anything wrong, who has not committed any crime at all, and they basically disappeared him.
We want justice, you say how? We want justice, you say how? Hands off our students now! Hands off our students now! Hands off!
We're here because a permanent resident living here in our city was kidnapped by ICE, part of the DHS, and they're trying to deport him because he's exercising his freedom of speech and his right to speak out, which is protected for everyone here, be they a citizen or not. So we're here to say no. They demand that they release him. It's plain and simple.
On March 8th, Palestinian student leader Mahmoud Khalil was unconstitutionally kidnapped by the Department of Homeland Security for one reason. He took a stand and chose to fight against the genocide of the Palestinian people.
It's an outrage, you know. It's probably going to get worse as far as I know. So
We want justice, you say how? Release Mahmoud Khalil now! We want justice.
I suppose the Trump administration decided that people who protest should be deported and should or arrested just for protesting. Trump was the one who claimed that he's saving freedom of speech. He called that protecting freedom of speech. It's a violation of freedom of speech. It's a dictatorship.
In our millions, in our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. We are all Palestinians. We want justice, you say how? We want justice, you say how? Release Mahmoud Khalil now. Release Mahmoud. What do we do? Justice is our demand. No peace.
And people were caught in the airports. And we were forced in the airport to be in solidarity with each other, to show that we stand against what's happening.
We want justice, we want peace. We want justice, we want peace.